The spouse knocked on my window a moment ago. She brought a orange for my son, but he's sleeping. So in this video, I will eat an orange. I did meet a man that I later found out he lived past 100. He might still be alive. Profesor Jose Leon Urtecho in Tela, Honduras. He used to eat 4 oranges in the morning. I met him when I was 16, and he gave a room to my grandpa when my grandpa was homeless in Honduras. Not really homeless, but nobody knows what he did with the money when he sold the property. And he couldn't get along with my mother in Chicago. It was too cold. It was a different world, and so they were talking. The old man was 95. My grandpa was 60 something, and the old man used to eat 4 oranges in the morning. And he had a light body, just get up and stand up, and like nothing was wrong at all. None of the sickness and pills and stuff. Then my grandpa told me the old man's story. The old man was a newspaper journalist, but before that he had been a Spanish teacher. In Honduras they speak Spanish, but there's an island, or there might be more than one. The islands of Honduras, they speak English in those islands. I think it was Captain Morgan that was an English guy. Now Captain Morgan was not a nice guy apparently, okay, because he did bad things in Panama. Because I had my girlfriend from Panama later, and I found out that she didn't like Captain Morgan because he would go do bad things in Panama and then go back and live on the islands of Honduras, stealing, raping, things like that. So they speak English in this island, and this young man at the time, Mr. Urtecho, professor, went to the islands to teach Spanish. He was sent by the government, right, to teach Spanish. Mimi, I love you. I love you, girl. That's another reason my spouse should not live in my room at night, because my dog sometimes has nightmares, and all night long I'm going, I love you, Mimi. So this young man went to the islands to teach Spanish, and they told him that if he didn't leave in 24 hours, they were going to extinguish him. I don't use the other word, all right? You shouldn't use it either, because we get accustomed to using it, and then if you have to shoot somebody to defend yourself, in the court, the prosecuting attorney would say, oh, so you shot him in order to, and I'm like, no, I shot him to stop him. That's it. Then keep silent. This energizes. So then Professor Urtecho, he left and he became a newspaper journalist. And he owned a big building in the center of town, and he gave a room to my grandpa, and I spent 3 months there. Beautiful 3 months. At the time, my mother owned a beautiful house in Chicago, but then at the same moment that I'm on vacation, she loses her job and she loses the house. And then when I return to Chicago and from Honduras, I'm living across the street in a basement, and the basement is like underneath, and it was like terrible. The cat wouldn't go in there. My mom always remembers that part, and I remember it too. The cat wouldn't go in there. Mm. The cat wouldn't go into the apartment, the basement apartment. So, if I would have been a brave man, I would have stayed in Honduras. But I didn't have any money skills at 16. Now I'm 40, I still don't have money skills. Except reading books, which is what I used to do back then also. Hmm. So, Professor Urtecho also, my grandpa told me, his son is a judge in Spain. Because apparently, if you're a Honduran citizen, you can also go back to Spain. That's something I heard. The other person that I met that was 100 years old was the great grandmother of my Panamanian girlfriend, Isabel. And when we drove up to her house, which was in the city of El Paraíso, Paradise, and it was a pretty city. It was very small. There was nothing there, no buildings except houses. And Isabel's younger brother drove us in a minivan. And we pulled right alongside the house, and the old woman was sitting down on a wooden chair. She had a white dress and white hair. And she saw us, and she said, "Oh, llegaron." She didn't have a phone, I don't believe, so I don't believe she knew we were coming. But she stood right up and said, "Hi, hi." Well, none of us went into her house. The minivan had at least, let's see, my father-in-law, mother-in-law, kinda, right? The brother-in-law, the sister-in-law. They had one little girl. And my girlfriend and myself, I would have married her. I just didn't have the... I was married at the time, so I couldn't marry her. I had not gotten around to divorcing. So there were 7 of us. And she had excellent knees and body and mind. I was surprised. I said, "We're going to go see your grandmother, but I already met your grandmother." She says, "No, we're going to go see her mother now." I said, "Really?" So those are experiences that you get once in a lifetime. To meet someone she was 100 years old, I believe. And her Professor Urtecho, he was also 95. And then I did go back to Honduras. And a taxi driver, because the spouse wanted to go back. We got to go back. And finally I made her stay the night. And so the next night, in Tela, Honduras, Professor Urtecho, in the next night, we were leaving, and I said, "Oh, look, spouse, this is where the Professor Urtecho used to live." And the taxi driver says, "He still lives there." I said, "He's still alive?" And he says, "Yes." And then I would have said hello. I mean, we didn't have to go to the airport for what, 3 more weeks or 2 more weeks. I would have said hello, but I didn't stop this time. I didn't stop because I didn't have money. I didn't have the money to give him a gift or anything, oranges or something. And everybody there was telling us, "You're gonna get robbed, you're gonna get robbed, you're gonna get robbed. The streets are unsafe, the streets are unsafe." And I wasn't carrying anything, so I wasn't carrying my gun over there. So I didn't feel well, you gotta, once you get kids and all that stuff, it's a lot of work. I mean, you need You need like 2 women for per child, all right, if you're going to be carrying. It's just, and the emotions when you remember where you used to run and play and who you met and the girlfriends you had over here, over there, all the emotions, they just throw you in a, they put your mind in a special place. And how you used to ride your bicycle here and there, uphill, downhill, and be careful. Oh, life. When you go back to these places, it's like nostalgia is the word, I think, but the feeling, the hot sun doesn't bother you. I mean, I didn't go out during the hot sun hour, but I went out in the evenings. I even practiced Tai Chi one time with one boy. This is when I was 22, 24, probably 25. They put a boy to take me to the beach so I wouldn't get lost when I was 25. But that was before I had kids. All right, my friends. Have a beautiful life. Every day, do something to achieve your goals, even if it's just reading about it. I'm checking out this website called Unemployable. But the actual group is on Facebook. It's called Psychologically Unemployable. And I saw so many wonderful videos of people congratulating this one guy that started this group on Facebook. Psychologically Unemployable. And all of them have a business. So I'm like, whoa, it's a business? But they're all congratulating him. They're very happy. They even wished him happy birthday from all over the world. You know, people videotape themselves. I was like, wow, what a way to say thank you to somebody. Because there are people that change the world. Gandhi, Buddha, Jesus, Martin Luther King, Martin Luther. And even if I failed in 1,000 areas, maybe my videos will somehow help you. At least, why do I tell so many private stories in my videos? I do that because I grew up with a very, very private mother, very secretive. And then I would catch her in so many lies, and still I would believe her. So I was a child, but I was gullible. And she had unrealistic expectations for me to be a diplomat, not to step into the kitchen, not to touch her cookware. But at the same time, when I went to college, I didn't know how to cook. Saturday and Sunday, the cafeterias are closed. So you're not prepared. You're not able to do your laundry. You're not able to... It's a royalty. Okay. You seen the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and the other guy? The white guy is a rich man, and a prostitute, I think, picks him up from the street, and she looks at his hands and she says, "You have never worked in your whole life." And he was like begging her, "Please take me home. Please take me home and take care of me." When he was poor or broke. Dan Aykroyd, I think is his name. And what happens is that some people do make it. They get a college degree and they never had to clean toilets or mop floors. Others, like myself, we are very intelligent, but we don't believe in ourselves. We don't have self-confidence. And at the same time, the system is stacked against you. But there is a way out through God, through Jesus, in my opinion. You can become rich, happy, because you know what beliefs are? You believe something is true or not true. And there was a lady that came from Honduras, and everywhere she didn't speak English. Everywhere she went, she would see the exit sign on the doors, and in her mind, she would read éxito, and that would stimulate her. Éxito is success, all right? That's what it means in Spanish. And she would see it everywhere and everywhere, and she didn't know that that was the exit door until several years later. She learned. And by then, when her mind had always been stimulated by the éxito or success, she started thinking successful thoughts. She took courses and became a building manager. She learned English. All of these successes, one on top of the other. And then I met her when she was an old woman. And she told me why she was successful. It was because she believed that in the United States, everybody's successful. Because look, it says success at every door. So I was telling my son that Tony Robbins sometimes reframes. He says that what this means is opposite for this person. Like some fat people, they say, I am holy, that's why I am fat. So Tony Robbins says that is true. And what I believe God does with fat people or holy people, holy fat people, is that he sticks a skew, which is a stick, right? Like for a hot dog on a fire. And he sticks a skew, a stick, and then he roasts them over hell. Now, Tony Robbins doesn't believe that, and he says he doesn't believe that, right? But it is a funny way to make the fat person think differently. A second example from Tony Robbins is that I told my son, that some people say, I am holy. I don't have any money, but I am holy. And they're very poor or very broke, or they don't have enough money to feed themselves. And then Tony Robbins says to them to change their beliefs, right? He says to them, yes, and the people that are a little bit holier than you are the ones that are rich because God favors them. And so, or he says it in such a way that the person that doesn't have any money, is penniless, says, no, money is sin. And then Tony Robbins says, real holy people are rich and have the money to help themselves and those around them. Right? Something like that, he says. Another way to put it was, holy people have money. Oh, in The Science of Getting Rich by Rebecca Fine, the website, she says that she has these things that go on, like they pop up on your computer, they're screensavers. And one of them says, nobody would, it's a quote by somebody, nobody would remember the Good Samaritan if he had no money. He had money as well as a good heart to help his neighbor. So that's what money can help you do wonderful things for other people. Enjoy your life. Be better than I am. Thank you.